we will be live on my business page, Beyond the Dawn, and of course in the lovely group. All of a sudden I can see you. It was funny because it was a little bit blurry before, and now you're right there. I can see you, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Internet just kicked in and gone, okay, it's time, it's happening.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining me today, darling. For the people who are watching and who will watch on replay, do you want to just let people know who you are and what you do and where you've come from?
Right. Okie dokie. So my name is Paula and I own two businesses, to make life interesting. So my first business, or the one that I've been established in, is a cake shop. So I have had my cake shop for just over 9 years now. We're based in Manchester, and we can do everything from a single cupcake right the way up to a 12-tier wedding cake, and then pretty much everything else in between. And then my other business is called Building a Brilliant Business, which is all about helping other business owners support them. So I'm a business mentor. I help them identify where the problems are and how to fix them, with a huge, and I mean huge, emphasis on customer service. I am from a customer service background, and I am a firm believer of the customer is always right, but you have to make sure you look after your customers. Ultimately, at the end of the day, customers drive your business, and if you can improve how they interact with you, they will then go and recommend your services or my services to other people. So that is my big jam.
That's your big jam. That's one of the things that sometimes people can struggle with, right? So we have an understanding of what customer facing means when you are customer facing, but actually having a true understanding of how to be customer facing and navigate that in a digital and online space can sometimes be a completely different thing. And what's lovely about what you do with BBB is you show people how you can bring those customer service staples, if you will, into any kind of business, whether you're a bricks and mortar business, a product business, or even a services business. Digitally, you can help people to provide that kind of roundhouse of support when it comes to creating those wonderful experiences. And like you said, often leads to you being able to generate even more sales off of the back of those really successful experiences that people have.
Definitely. Once you've got a process into place, so it can start off with that touch point, when the customer first finds you, or how they find you, and how you navigate their journey right the way through. That process can be adapted to every single business. I have I've got a hairdresser as one of my clients. I've got another cake maker, and then I've got a builder. Very random, I know, but the processes that I've developed over the years, I've tweaked them obviously to the individual industry, but they work. Ultimately, it's about looking after your customers. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and making that easy. Because I think one of the things that we do when we start a business is we automatically assume that we'll already have all of the skills that we need to be able to really, truly make it a success. And the truth is that depending on what your previous experience level is, or what you've done in past employment, you might not actually have the understanding that you need for all of the different processes when we build it on. So you've been sharing that message all over the internet now for how long? How long has BBB been out in the world?
BBB has been out. I've been working on it for about 12 months, and again, it's about tweaking it so that I'm happy with the way that my processes work. And then it's been live, and it's in the big wide world for about 6 months now. So it's been an absolute joy to help other people to achieve their goals. So it's been absolutely amazing to help people. It makes a huge difference just by sharing that little bit of knowledge that I've gained over many years of experience. I've been working for shall I show you? I've been working for over 30 years.
You really contemplated whether to share the number then. Do I actually say the number?
The thing is, like it doesn't matter at what age you are when you start your business. You know, you could start that, but you could start your business at sort of like 17, 18, you know, when you've got the ideas popping into your head. And at that particular stage, the whole wide world is like a completely different world. It's like, how do you actually run your business? Where do you get your experience from? But then on the flip side, there's nothing wrong with starting your business like into your late 40s. I started my cake shop. I was like just in my early 40s when I actually changed from my my corporate career into going into a cake shop. So anything's possible. It really is.
And what I love about when we talk about connecting to audience and having that ideal client in your audience base and attracting them, and this was something that we spoke about recently, because just a few weeks ago you were on the retreat for the mentorship, and you very kindly gave me a lift from Piccadilly Station to the retreat, and from the retreat back to Piccadilly Station. So we had many hours. Did we have something like six? Was it six or additional hours?
You're saying the journey back was a little bit longer because of the whatever it was. Yeah. So yes, we had lots of time to talk, and you know, it was such a joy, because your experience, obviously, from what you do, has really helped me develop into the person and the business mentor that I want to be, so that I can then go and help people. I'm just inspired about how you conduct yourself. And that's what I want from people that I work with as well.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely. But I mean, during that time we were having chats about your businesses. One of the things that I really enjoyed when we were chatting was how you have a complete understanding about the different niches. So you know who your ideal clients are for the cake business, and you know who your ideal clients are for your Build a Brilliant Business. And, you know, essentially, there's very little crossover. So you really are having a really great understanding of target and knowing who your audience needs to be, and hitting those core messages for each business simultaneously, whilst running them both simultaneously, which is a difficult thing as it is. But you really understand how to not only identify, but actively go and pursue the right people to be attracting into the businesses.
Yeah. The great thing that I found from when we did audience attraction last year was everything was broken down for me. So again, with the wedding business, obviously my niche is like brides or grooms. Take that back. You know, the people that are getting married. So that's like second nature to me now. Obviously, with building a brilliant business, it was like, well, who can I help? So who is my ideal client? And from doing audience attraction, whilst when I was doing audience attraction last year, I had the cake shop, and building a brilliant business was sort of like in the background. But I've taken the skills that I've picked up from audience attraction and applied them to both the businesses. It's absolutely fabulous. It's like, I know now from the work that we've done is who my ideal clients are. And again, I know when we were on the retreat, I identified that my ideal client changed ever so slightly, because my original plan was it was going to be new business owners. So people who are literally at the start of their journey and don't know what to do. Because let's put our hands up. We've all been in that situation where we start a business and it's like, well, I've got a fabulous idea, but what do I do now? You know, how do I manage the accounts? How do I manage my social media? How do I manage the production things? You know, if it's a product base, how do I get my materials? And it was all of those. They were the people that I wanted to help. That was like my initial thought process. However, when we were at the retreat, it was from talking to the absolutely amazing ladies that were there. It was like it's not just new people, new businesses that need the skills that I can offer, especially with like the customer marketing and like enhancing the customer journey. That can be applied sort of like at any stage within the business. And sometimes it's actually great to have another pair of eyes looking on your business where you've been trading for like 4 or 5 years and everything's smoothly, everything's going to plan, but you then want to step it up and take it to the next level. So by having somebody like me, by having somebody like me physically look at the processes that you've got in place, what can be tweaked, what can be changed, it makes a huge difference. And that is where the niche was actually changed ever so slightly. Don't get me wrong, I can still help new businesses, but I'm here to help whoever needs it, really.
I love the fact that you've got the freedom, though, to know that you can make that pivot and you have the fundamental understanding of how to attract any audience now. So you don't have to worry about making that pivot and having to start again from scratch, because what you've learned is the actual staples, the underpinning of what it takes to build any audience. So you've obviously gone in on one particular kind of area of niche, but if your niche ever changed, or if you had a different business, or if you created a different arm to the business, you could still rely back on audience attraction to support you every single time you bring something new. And what I love about what you just said is, like, for us as an agency, we quite regularly are a bolt-on marketing department for other businesses. We know that there are bolt-on HR departments for other businesses, and you're like that bolt-on customer services department for other businesses, where you can actually go in, and if they've been running for a period of time, you can audit them. If they are brand new, you can make sure that everything is correct in terms of framework and setup. And people really don't know what to do in terms of what should be allowed and what they should be offering when they do have those interactions with customers. So you've got that whole scope and spectrum. And what I really like about what you've done with socials is you've made all of that not seem scary, because for business owners who have customer interactions, sometimes they may even have complaints, they may even have harsh critical feedback and all of those types of things, which is a natural progression for any business once you start getting regular clients, right? You have been able to kind of like break that down so it's not scary.
Yeah. And one of the processes that I've been working on at the moment is the complaints process. And one of my clients has said, well, why do I need to put a complaints process into place? And I'm like that going, well, heaven forbid that you get you get a customer complaining. But if you've got a process already into place, it makes you look far more professional, and you can understand from the customer's point of view, but you can set their expectations, and you can have like a timeline set out. So in the cake world, we cross over quite a lot in my head. In the cake world, if there was a problem with one of my cakes, my terms and conditions state the cake needs to be returned to the shop within that sort of like 24 hours, so that I can then, especially if it's some physically wrong with it, so like the cake's dry or it's not right, because if we do anything after that time, I can't clarify that. So I have those already set. But I say this client that I've been working with, she was like, I don't want to get a complaint, I don't like dealing with it. And I went, the worst thing that you can do is put your head in the sand and not physically deal with it. I am a firm believer, I will pick the phone up. I am as I've probably bored you, I'm old school. I will pick the phone up and deal with that complaint over the phone rather than in an email. It's always best to like back everything back up in an email, but you get so much more done over the phone or face to face. And yes, it's scary because you feel as if they're picking on you. You've done something wrong. It's your business. You're a failure. Actually, it's not. You remove all of the emotions and the personal side out of it. The customer's not happy with a service or a product, you're fixing that service or product. That's all you're doing. So by having a complaints process in place, it helps you, and it helps like from the business owner as well, because you've already got it covered. So heaven forbid something does go wrong, you do get a complaint, you can go to your procedures. It's there, right, okay, the customer said that X, Y, and Z. Right, so X, Y, and Z, I now need to do a follow-up call, or we need to do some investigation. Timeline's already been set. And it's about delivering and keeping the customer updated. This is one of my bugbears. I absolutely hate it. If I phone a company and I say, no, I get advised that you're going to get a phone call in a day, and then you don't get that phone call, that winds me up. That puts my back up. And it's like, that's where customer services, if you say you're going to do something, do it. That is my ethos, and that's both with the cakes and with building a brilliant business. If I say I'm going to do something, it gets done, and then hopefully whatever I'm telling will then resonate down with my clients, so that they can then feed it down to their clients. So it makes that whole process so much more seamless, which ultimately, as a business owner, that's what we want. We want things to run as smoothly as possible.
And how do you find communicating those messages? Because they're obviously incredibly important for you, for your clients now to understand that that's the way you do things. Hello Emma, hi MC Bobs. You know, how do you find communicating that on social since doing audience attraction?
Well, it's about having my content pillars. So again, one of my content pillars is about procedures. And then when you break it down a little bit further, I've got one for complaints. So my socials have now, you know, I ask the question in my socials like that, have you had a complaint? What do you do with it? How can I help you? Or it's a case of, you know, like I've just said, never bury your head in this. I've got one of my socials actually says, don't bury your head in the sand, because it's not going to go away anything. If you do that, it's going to get worse. It's about dealing with something. As soon as that problem comes up, deal with it. It's so much easier. I mean, we procrastinate about so many different things. And I know when you get a complaint, the first thing you do is, I don't want to deal with it. But the sooner you get it dealt with, it could literally just be a simple misunderstanding. And then you can rectify it. And then you can still build those bridges so you can still retain that customer. Because if you look after your customers, even when something's gone wrong, they will remember you for your actions when something went wrong. And then that holds favour for them if they're then going recommending something, or they need to use your services again. Because whilst, yes, you did something wrong, you corrected it and you did it within that timely manner. So it's all about having, I say, everything all in place. But my socials, they're just on point, because I've had all of the grounding work from doing audience attraction, creating my pillars. There's a lot of the things that I've done, whereas I can repurpose them. So one of the things that you told when we were doing audience attraction was popping everything into a content bank in Trello. I absolutely love that. I mean, I've got Trello boards left, right and centre now, but it's great because if there's those days where you're not quite sure what you're going to post, even though you would have scheduled something, or something that's happened and you just want to reaffirm something that I've already covered. So I can literally just go back to my content bank, find the caption, the post that I want, and repost it. So I would still be keeping scheduled posts, which are they're structured. But if something comes up that it needs to be addressed, I've got that bank there. I can literally just go and click, and then it's done. So
I love that. And I think that's one of the things that people really worry about, Paula, because they think that they'll come on audience attraction, we'll figure out the strategy, we'll make them a content bank of things that they can put out, and then they don't get to be in the moment, they don't get to be on the fly, if you will. But actually, that's not the right way we run it, is it? It's about making sure that you have things covered with that consistency, so you have the opportunity to continue bringing in fresh audience members, new lead generations, new potential clients. But actually, if you feel moved to talk about something that is relevant today and add that on, you absolutely can. It's never going to hinder, because you've always got what you need in the background doing exactly what it needs to do. So anything on top of that is always then a lovely bonus, isn't it?
Definitely.
Totally. So in terms of when we first started working together, how did you feel about being visible?
I didn't like it, and now look at me, I'm being interviewed. I think when we did, even the first time when we did Relax and Attract, and we were doing the challenge, and I was like that going, I don't want to go live. I don't like it. What if people? I still don't get me wrong, I still have a few issues with people being judged, but do you know what? I'm me. I have now got the confidence in myself. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. And now it's just about, excuse me, I'm going to cough.
Okay, take some water. We're getting excited.
So whereas like when I I've gone proper squeaky. I do apologise. So, if I'd done that previously on my first one, I'm like, end call. I can't do it. But you know what? We're human beings. You know, we will get a tickle in our throat every now and then when you go live. You know what? That's what makes us real. We have to be ourselves. So when I first joined the Relax and Attract challenge, it was like, I don't like showing. I don't like going on my camera. I don't like whether people are going to judge me. I don't feel confident. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And whereas I do, and a lot of it is that I do.
And the thing that gets me is that I think sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit, because when we first started working together and talking about your strategy, obviously you did audience attraction last year, but we've also worked together in other capacities as well. But when we were talking about it, you really didn't want to be that visible. I mean, you wanted to be, but you weren't going to be anytime soon. And now, if anybody's watching this who isn't already following Paula on Instagram, go and find Building a Brilliant Business on Instagram and just watch her reels, because you've been on video, you've been making reels. Like for me, I can't take credit for your genius, and I will never try to. But there's a massive win for me to see the stark difference in 12 months ago when we did audience attraction together, and how you're putting yourself out there with absolute confidence now.
Yeah. Oh, there's like saying, if you'd have said to me 12 months ago, you'll be doing reels, I'm like, Johnny, don't be stupid. I'm not doing that. I'm not making. But like I say, reels are they are such an important tool at the moment, and you don't have to do the pointy dance stuff, because that was the thing that really I didn't like it when I was watching them. And again, some of them are really comical, but I was watching them like, I'm not going to do that. What? I'm going to make myself look like an idiot. Whereas now, when the audios that I'm finding them so that they relate back to my business, or to both of my business. And again, one of the great things I've done, there's a couple of them which link both back into customer services, and I've filmed them, put all the text that I needed to do, saved it to my camera, and I can post it to both businesses, because ultimately I've got two different audiences, and they're sending the same messages, because again, it's about that customer services. There's one which I absolutely love doing, which is it's from Little Mermaid, and it's Ursula, and she's like, my dear sweet child, that's what I do. And to me, minus the Ursula bit, that is, I get so much joy from doing my job, and I've used that reel, say, for both businesses, because then people can see me, because ultimately when you're being visible, you want to attract your client. So if you're being fake, you're not going to attract them. Whereas doing things like the reels, people can get to see that funny side of me, and I have got a very funny sense of humor. Could be a little dark at times, but it works. And showing yourself like that was then when you do attract the people that you want to work with. And ultimately, that's what we all want. And say audience attraction was fabulous for that, because I was having my niche already down, where it was. All I'm doing now is just constantly building to make it so that both of my businesses will work, because of doing things on the social media.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's so good to see you doing it. Okay, so we've come to the end of our little lunchtime interview. I have one last question for you. If there is anybody watching right now who is on the fence about joining audience attraction, what would your advice be?
My advice would be as simple as just do it. Pick up the phone, have a word with Dawney, or if you need me, so you can find me on socials. Ask me any questions. I found I got so much benefit from it, and again, it's helped with the confidence. It's with growing my social media. It's helped with having the structure behind everything. Honestly, all I would say would be pick up the phone to Dawney, or to any of the other ladies that done audience attraction, and just have that conversation.
Literally anyone who's ever done it. Literally anyone who's ever done it, just go speak to them. Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good piece of advice.
But then I was going to say, but that just shows you how fabulous the actual course is, because everybody's recommending it. It's you get so much information, even things like
don't give away all my secrets now.
I'm not going to do that. But it's you finding you get all of the insight so that you can then apply it to your business or to to whatever it is you're doing. But yeah, my advice would be just do it. Simple as that.
Love it.
Do it.
All right, my darling, thank you so much for coming and joining me today, and I really do appreciate it. If there's anybody watching who wants to have a chat with me about audit attraction whilst we're open, we are having a really good response to this open cart launch, and we do have limited spaces, so please don't leave it too late. Just come and have a brew with me and Anetta, and let's see what's right for you. The worst case that can happen is I'll give some advice on where to go and what to do, even if you're not joining us this year. Paula, thank you again for joining us. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, everybody will speak to you again soon.